Welcome to episode number 1 of the Plant Your Energy podcast. My name is Cheryl Armstrong. This is my soon-to-be husband and co-host, Mark Moses.
How you guys doing?
Today, we're going to just kind of go over why we are starting this podcast, how we got to this point, and Mark is going to share his story. A lot of the people that are already involved with Plant Your Energy already know my story. So I just want to talk a little bit about Plant Your Energy and why we're doing this. I was sentenced to 96 years in prison when I was 16 years old for driving the getaway car in a double homicide. I've been very forthcoming about the mistakes that I made when I was younger. I think that the power in my story is the transformation that happened during the 26 years of incarceration that I endured in Colorado. So while I was inside, I spent a number of years struggling. Finally, I determined that I wanted my life to mean something, to have a purpose, even if I had to spend every year of it inside. Long story short, I ended up training dogs for a number of years. I helped run a lot of classes inside, including the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for a number of years. I used to help people train. I used to run circuit training classes. I was a runner, all the things, all the positive things that we get into when we're in prison. I got a college education, got a Master of Arts and Humanities. And from there, I started Plant Your Energy from inside with the help of my mom, who passed away 3.5 years ago. And so Plant Your Energy, for those of you that don't know, it is basically a mindset about how you're living your life, and to be mindful that in each moment, every thought we think and every action that we take is having a ripple effect on what we are creating next for ourselves and for the people around us. And so I think that it is critically important to stay focused on the things that are important to us, our character development, our work ethic, our relationships, our sobriety, being crime-free, whatever it is that applies to you, whatever recurring themes that you have seen throughout your life that are toxic, that are holding you back, keeping you trapped in some sort of negative cycle. That's what Plant Your Energy is all about. So I wrote the book, Plant Your Energy, Face Your Demons and Transform Your Life, while I was still inside. Since I've gotten out, my first goal was to get it published. And so after publication, I created a curriculum that goes with the book. My program was in Colorado prisons for about 3 years. And now I am working on a couple of new projects, and I'm always finding and looking for new ways that I can implement my curriculum in places, either reentry or inside of prisons, to help people that are struggling to make some positive, lasting changes in their life. So I say all of that to say that the point of the podcast is we're going to have people come on here and share their stories who have past of incarceration, addiction, any number of other struggles, traumas from their past that they've worked through and have been able to at least manage them or even eradicate them from their lives, and they have moved forward. They're living productive lives now. This is a place for community, for positivity, and for uplifting one another and helping those who are still struggling. I want the people that are having a hard time who watch this to walk away from it feeling like I can do that too. And so we're going to have people that we were incarcerated with. I'm hoping that we'll meet some new people along the way. People will reach out. We would like to ask for your support. If you see this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please follow us. We're going to get this podcast on Spotify. We're going to get it in a number of other places. Bear with us as we shape this. Today, we just wanted to come in, get it started, get something recorded so we can put some content out to let you know this is what we're doing. So with all that being said, Mark Moses here is going to share his story today about his past, how he turned his life around, and how he is now planting his energy. So
with that being said, hi everybody, my name is Mark. So in 2013, I was, oh no,
what did you do?
Fix it.
Babe, you can't do stuff like that, okay?
I dropped it.
You can't do that.
Oh, we're still there.
Go.
So in 2013, I was sitting in a county jail. I just got sentenced to 10 calendar years in prison. The precursor to that was 10 plus years of addiction, crime, and failures. So while I was sitting in county jail, I was starting to wonder, how did I come to this point? And it took the better half of those 10 years to kind of work through that. Obviously, we got to work through our own things on our own time. If you're not ready to change, change isn't going to happen. So,
may I ask you what you went to prison for?
This time I went to prison for 3 separate cases. All were drug related. It was sales of methamphetamine, class 2 felony. I was sentenced to 9.25 years. Then I had another class 2 felony for sales of methamphetamine. I was sentenced to 10 flat years. So that means day for day I have to serve. And then the final one was a class 2 felony for sales of heroin. I kind of got lucky when I was sitting in the county jail going through pre-trial. One of the papers I got stated who my victim was. My victim was society. And that kind of hit hard because my children are part of the society. People I don't know are part of the society. People I love and care about are part of the society. And for the longest time, I thought all my negative actions were affecting me. But realistically, they were affecting me, everyone around me, and people I didn't even know. The ripple effect went how long, I don't know. So when probation started coming to talk to me and do my pre-sentence report, they were wanting to know details about my crimes, and I just kind of shut it down and said, listen, I don't want to talk about it. I feel guilty because society was my victim, and I ended the conversation with that. My judge at the time looked that over while the prosecutor was screaming to give me consecutive sentencing. The judge seen I was actually making changes from the very beginning and ran everything concurrent. So instead of doing 24.25, I got lucky and I ended up doing 10 flat. And from that day on, I made an oath to myself that I would do everything I possibly could to make a better impact in my life. So that started with researching and digging to the bottom of why I became, in the first place, a drug addict. So I kind of figured that out. A lot of people, it's pain and trauma, right? Pain and trauma kind of gets you to that place where you start using to forget about what was going on. Me and my fiance at the time were due to have our second kid, which would have been a son. About 8 months into the pregnancy, there was complications and the baby stopped living. I ended up coming home. My fiance at the time wanted to go to the hospital. I wanted to drink a beer before we went. I'll never forget it. That was first traumatic experience. Mind you, I was 20 years old at this time. I was not prepared, maybe even 19 at the time, actually. And we went to the hospital, found out there's no heartbeat. I could see the fear and terror in this woman's eyes, and the only thing I could say was, get that thing out of her. Now, this thing was going to be my son. Second traumatic experience with that situation. Third, after that, is the funeral where I actively fell into my child's grave. That absolutely wiped me out, and I thought I was okay, but deep down I knew I wasn't. So I started using to alleviate the pain. And obviously with the cycle addiction, things get worse and things get worse and things get worse. So what ends up happening is you have pain, trauma, then you attach pain, trauma, and failure. So I failed to be a good provider for my children. I failed to be a good partner to the woman that I loved at the time. And I was failing at being a man. And with failure comes regret. So the cycle keeps continuing until you spiral absolutely out of control. you're using to forget the pain. And anytime you start to sober up or turn to recovery, all those feelings come back up. With those feelings, you're coming down from the chemicals, so your brain's kind of messed up at the time. So what do? You cycle right back into the pattern of addiction. Mm-hmm. So now it's about 2014, 2015. I'm starting to get in the groove of my prison life this time, and working through my own pains and traumas. And the one thing I figured out I had to do is I had to forgive myself for everything I absolutely did in the past. Was I a failure? Absolutely. I was a horrible father. I was a horrible provider. I was a horrible human being. And I've done countless things that I'm not proud of. And I had to forgive myself first for that, or I would never heal and build the life I actually wanted to build. It took several years to actually come to that conclusion that, hey, if I don't forgive myself, I would forgive anybody else for any mistake they ever made, but I would hold my feet to the fire for every little thing.
I feel like it's always easy for people to say to someone else, oh, you just need to forgive yourself. I find myself saying it to people at my current job that I have now. But it's like, when you're in the midst of all this pain and trauma and addiction and just feeling absolutely miserable, it's like, well, how do you do that? How did you forgive yourself?
So what I would do is I would sit on my bed, and obviously, you're in prison, you got your headphones, you got your TV. I would have my TV on, I'd have the volume all the way down. And that's how I spent most of my days. And I would just reflect on my life, the mistakes I made, and in each additional one, I would just, okay, I'm good. I forgive myself for that. And I would do that over and over and over again. While everybody else was watching TV, I was kind of dissecting my own brain and rewiring myself into forgiveness mode and just become a new person. It took quite some time to do it, but within 5 years, I would say I was well on the path of healing and looking forward to building a successful life once I got out.
Yeah. That's part of what I wrote about in my book is I believe, and if you don't know about my book, you're not familiar with the content. It's basically a roadmap of how I was able to transform my character in my life while I was sitting in a prison cell. And, the first chapter, I talk about how the first thing that I believe you need to do to make any type of real change in your life, to get to the life that you really want to have, is to figure out what your demons are. What are the things that haunt you? What are the things that keep you stuck in toxic patterns? And from there, you have to take full accountability for every single piece of yourself that you don't like. Every toxic trait, every time you've hurt another person, every time you've hurt yourself by making another bad choice. You need to own that, because it's nobody else's fault. And it gets a little bit controversial, I guess I would say, because there are people that were abused by their parents or whoever as little tiny kids. And they're like, well, how is that my fault? It's not your fault that you went through that. But, and I'm going to have people come at me for this potentially, I believe that if you continue to give those things power over you, whatever they are, for the rest of your life, you are only hindering your own progress and your own pathway to having happiness and peace in your heart. And so no matter if it's your fault or somebody else's fault, it does become your responsibility when you keep giving it energy and power over your life, right? So as far as Mark's story goes, I believe that, he needed to sit down, he needed to own every single thing that he did. I mean, people sell drugs and people die from those drugs. We never know. If you're a drug dealer, you don't know how many people's lives you may have taken. I mean, there's a ripple effect, right? And that's what planting your energy is about, that ripple effect.
It's not even lives that were taken. It was lives that were affected. Children that grew up without parents, children that grew up in bad, abusive homes. people that went without because their partner, spouse, or child themselves was using. That's what I'm saying. It's a ripple effect that you just don't see. You're dealing with the one person, but that one person deals with a plethora of other people that we have no connection with whatsoever. And we go through the mindset of, well, if I don't sell it to them, somebody else is. Well, that still weighs on you. That's, at the end of the day, you're the one that caused that, whether they wanted that caused to them or not.
It's an excuse to live with no integrity.
Correct.
Right. It's just an excuse to say, oh, I'm going to keep doing what I want to do because I'm going to live my life in a selfish way. And I don't really care what you have to say. And I'm going to justify it. And that's another thing I wrote about in the book. You got to get rid of the justifications.
Mm-hmm.
Put all that BS to the side and just say, you know what? Like he's saying, this is what I did. I had to sit down in a prison cell and own that for a number of years, right? And that was the same for myself when I was in there making these changes to become the person I am today. I had to sit with all of those disgusting pieces of my past from when I was a kid that brought me to where I was sitting in prison, and I had to take ownership of the fact that lives were destroyed, and so I recently had a hateful person make a comment on another podcast that I had been a part of saying, oh, well, I'm going to make sure I remind people about you. Well, you don't need to remind people about me because I remind them myself. Mm-hmm. I take full ownership for the person that I used to be and the mistakes that I made in my past. I don't need anybody to hate on me. I've done enough of that to me. But here's the thing. We all are redeemable. I don't care what we've done or what has been done to you. I believe that we have good in us and we have bad in us. And we get to choose which one we feed, right? We all know that. And so people change. And the fact that Mark and I have had terrible pasts, we've hurt people, we've made bad choices. His daughters had to grow up without him in their lives. And so I'll let you, circle back around to where all of that is now. But
sure,
we have had to live with the bad choices that we have made. And there's nobody that's going to make us feel worse than we have made ourselves feel from our bad choices. And I think what it's all about is, hey, we take something away from those things, we become better people, and now we're trying to help other people. We're trying to give that back. And that's why we're sitting here right now, because we want to create a platform for people to be able to share their pain, their trauma, their story, but you know what? Their comeback story. Mm-hmm. That people can change, people can do good things in their lives, and they don't have to be extraordinary. You don't have to become a millionaire or, an influencer. You can just be a normal person doing your everyday thing. But that is extraordinary to me, because you could have chosen to stay stuck in addiction or in violence or abusive relationships or whatever. You could have chosen to keep going back to prison and doing the same things. But we've chosen differently, and the people that we're going to have come on here have chosen differently. And so those stories deserve to be heard, and that's exactly why we're here. So with that,
so let's get back to
story.
How change is made. You can't eat an elephant in one bite, right? You can't change your bad habits overnight. So I started with the little things. Shirt tucked in was a kind of a thing in prison that you have to have your goddamn shirt tucked in. So I made sure my shirt was tucked in. You got to have your ID on. I wore my ID. And I always use the excuse when people would say, Moses, why is your shirt tucked in? Moses, why you always got your ID? Man, I just don't want to hear them squawking at me. I don't want to hear them squawking at me. I just want to do my thing, and I don't want them squawking at me. I don't want them to give me a reason to act goofy. I don't want them to give me a reason to act stupid. I'm just going to stay buttoned up and do what I'm supposed to do. Then I started the program of getting up early in the morning. I would get up early in the morning, drink my coffee, go do my workout. Turned myself into a routine. Routines help change lives. You tell yourself you're going to work out every day. You go out and work out for the first week and you stop. Well, you just lied to yourself. Now you can't even believe yourself. You got to hold yourself accountable. Be the person you want to be. Get your mind to believe you are that person. It's pretty simple. So once I started doing those little things, I started looking for bigger things I could do. What kind of programs can I take to make some improvements? What kind of jobs can I do to make some improvements? And I got kind of lucky in a weird way. So when I hit my 5-year mark, I was getting ready to move to a 2-yard. And I haven't really had any contact with my children in at least 10 plus years, if not more. And they were up in the White Mountains. They were trying to send me to this little yard called Globe. I did not want to go there. And on the van ride up there, I was like, man, I'm just not going to go there. One part of my mind is the bad part telling me just do what you got to do, get the fuck out of there. And the other part of my mind saying, well, hold on a minute. Your kids are about an hour up the road. What if they decide to get in contact with you? What if they want to come and see you? Well, I said, yep, that's what I'm going to do. So I kept my mouth shut, kept running my same program, and went to this place I didn't want to go to. Spent about the first 2 months talking to nobody, living in my own private weird little bubble. After that, I started coming out of the shell a little bit. There was a couple good people over there that I met, and they started running a program. One of the people we're going to have come on the show, his name is Gabe Alicio. They were running an HVAC program. Best decision I ever made was to take this class. It was with Eastern Arizona College. It was a year-long commitment. I would go to work. I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to work on the outside crews at a school, come back at 2, go to class from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night. I would do that every single day. So it was a full-time job, full-time class, and we would bust out 4 chapters a week in this book. And it was regimented, and you had to be on your P's and Q's with it because you're getting tested constantly. And at this point, me and a good friend of mine were always in a competition of who's going to do better on the test. You know, it's who's going to do this better, who's going to do that better. And it became a thing. And with that started becoming good habits, good education habits, good study habits, to where we ended up thriving in the class. When the class was over, me and another guy decided, hey, we like this class so much, it helped us out so much, we're going to volunteer our time for the next class. When that came up, obviously in between there, COVID happened and the class was shut down for a while. But when it came back, we would work all day, come back and volunteer for the class all night, till that became a thing where they offered us pay to do that class. So that just became our full-time job. Then we were able to do an advanced HVAC class. And the same thing, we helped teach the class, grow, learn, become better people. Till my release, I stayed doing that the entire time. After that, I ended up getting out of prison. Ended up going to...
And you had served how many years? 10, right?
10, yeah.
Okay.
Not 10 soft. It was 10 flat, day for day. I went in at 1 day, got out exactly 10 years later. So from there, I ended up going to New Freedom. Some people know about it, some people don't. Really good program, especially if you didn't do the work to get yourself into a better place. They're going to start helping you as quickly as they can build those building blocks to get you better. When my time was up there, I got lucky. My good friend ended up with an HVAC company and basically recruited me. I had the job before I even had the job because the man was doing so good at the company. When I came in, the manager only wanted to hear me talk to make sure I would be a good fit. And from there, we hit the ground running. Within the first 6 months of my release, I was already back on the prison I left from. Obviously, because I didn't have probation, parole, I was a free person, speaking to the next graduating HVAC class, and I've been doing that every 6 months ever since my release. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build people up, keep people out on a personal level. We're trying to stop recidivism. We're trying to stop that as much as we possibly can with community connections, right? If somebody helped me, I'm helping somebody else, and now all 3 of us are helping 3 other people. That stops 15 people from going back, and those 15 people can stop 45 people from going back. What's happened in this last time I've been in prison and got released is something I've never seen before. Obviously, corrections is making a good pivot to education and stuff to keep you from going back to prison before it was just housing and
at
come
least
back.
And he speaks to his experience in Arizona.
Correct. Yeah, so I've been
It's
in and out of prison 3 separate times before this last time. And it's just human farming is what it was. So with that said, we continue to bring people up, help people out as much as we possibly can to get in a better place where they don't have to go back to crime, go back to drugs, go back to old habits. But us guys that are doing this can only help the people that want to help themselves. And you can see that almost immediately. If you're not trying to help yourself, there's not much I can do or anybody else can do for you. You're going to have to make that decision on your own, because you will end up back in the same box you came from. There's just no other way around it. But the people that are actually making the changes are leading successful lives. I got a solid core group of people that are doing just that. And I got a Facebook friends that I know personally that are doing it all over Arizona and other places as well. You know, it can be done. The people that say that, oh, I can't get a job, I'm a felon, well, that's a bullshit excuse, because you can. Well, I can't get a good job because I'm a felon. Man, I know tons of people that are just doing exactly that. That's just another bullshit excuse. People make a lot of cop-outs to why they can't do something instead of reasons why they can or should or deserve to be doing something.
And I think that oftentimes what the problem is that people don't want to put in the work. And so, I talk all the time about how if you don't have self-discipline, you can work on every other aspect of yourself. But if you don't have that self-discipline, all of that's it's gonna crumble eventually, because you have to have the strength internally to get up every single day. I have days where my grief for my mom's death hits me, and I don't want to get out of my bed. And that doesn't happen often anymore, but that's because of my self-discipline, right? I have to still get up and I have to be the best version of me every single day, honestly, whether I feel like it or not. And that's what it's all about, is getting to that place where mentally you're just like, no, this is what it's going to be for me. If I want to get to this vision I have for myself 5-10 years from now, what can I do today to work towards those bigger goals? And I think that it's strategic, right? Like, you have to be intentional about your life. And that is why I created Plant Your Energy. It's all about that intention that you're setting and how you're living it moment to moment. And so I would ask you, how do you feel like you can continue to plant your energy to keep leveling up, right? Sometimes we get stagnant. And so I feel like it's important. I think that part of living life is having passion. And so it's like, well, what can I do next? What can I do next? Which is another reason we're sitting here right now, is it's just going to that next level again. And so how would you answer that?
So it's multifaceted, right? The way I plant my energy, I've gotten blessed by being able to be in my kids' lives again. They have allowed me to be in their lives. I'm in my grandkids' lives.
7 of them.
7 grandkids, yeah. And it's an honor. They had, I wouldn't have blamed them at all if they said, you know what, I don't want you around.
I have to stop you and just point out to everybody that's listening to this that right there is a powerful example of why it is so important to believe in second chances on both ends, right? This man, he deserves that second chance from his daughters and from his family. He is a good human being who made really bad choices, just like I did. And not only would he be missing out on the lives of his kids and grandkids, but they would be missing out on him too. He's a really, really wonderful person. And if others who are out there that are skeptical that people like us can turn our lives around and we can be the best version of ourselves, you're cheating yourself out of knowing a really good human being. And that goes for so many of us that have been incarcerated.
Yeah.
It's so important for people to set their judgments to the side so we can all come together as a community, you know, at the workplace, and heal relationships and give people a chance to show you that, hey, I am a better person now. And for me, like, I give people that chance, but I will say I only usually give it once.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a past and I give you a chance and then I see that you're not living right, you're back in your alcoholism, you're back in your addiction, you're back doing shady shit again, that's it, I'm done. I cut you off. Mark is a little more flexible in that area, but I think it's important that we are very careful about who we put in our space. That's part of the self-discipline for me, right? Is remaining vigilant about who I give energy to in my life. So yeah, your relationship with your daughters is just a really beautiful example of
that's
of the
paramount.
second chance.
It's my daughters, it's my grandmother, it's my sister, it's my mother, it's my father. When I decided to go down the bad road I went down, it was probably about 2003. I absolutely disappeared. No family contact whatsoever. And that didn't start again until 2013. And it was a fight to get back in my family's lives. I hurt a lot of people by just vanishing. I didn't think I was. I thought, well, it's just better off if I just disappear. But as soon as they started coming in, that was another thing that clicked. It's like, hey, dude, you are figuring it out because you aren't hurting these people. I've gotten lucky with that. I got a really good, strong support system with my family. A lot of love there. I got a really strong support system with friends, and we all come together and help each other. Like, people want to judge how other people have lived their lives, but a lot of people need to understand it's the people that have lived those bad, nasty, disgusting lives are the ones with the biggest hearts when they come back through it, because they have experienced pain, they have experienced trauma, they have experienced regrets and failures, and they're doing everything they can to prevent that from happening to somebody else. They know that, so they're not trying to inflict that. They're trying to be 100% the best version of themselves they can possibly be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So moving forward, yeah, technically still haven't answered the question. How are you going to be planting your energy in the years to come?
Yeah, in the years to come, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. You know, I have a successful career right now, great relationship, obviously. Obviously. And I'm going to continue to keep speaking at the HVAC graduations. New Freedom is running an HVAC program. I make sure I go to the start of every class and talk to them as well, to let them know that it is possible. It's simple, you know, go ahead.
I just want to pause right there, because the person that runs the HVAC class at New Freedom, which, if you don't know what New Freedom is, it's a 90-day reentry program for people coming out of prison. And I actually used to work there. And so now one of his best friends who used to work at his company with him, they used to be roommates in prison. Mm-hmm. You know, he now is the person that runs the HVAC class at New Freedom, and which is why Mark
he built it too.
And he built it too.
Yeah.
And so, but here's the thing. This is how you plant your energy, right? Mark's out in the field and he's making videos to send to his friend that's running the HVAC class at New Freedom to show the students. And those are the ways that we can just, you know, be mindful about, hey, how can I help lift other people up that were, you know, in the shoes that I was once in.
Yeah.
So
it's all about providing hope, right? Yes. So I go to the class, and the first thing I tell them is, look, I know your counseling's a lot. I know your IOPs are a lot. They run you ragged as soon as you get out, but it's worth it. And I let them know, because where their HVAC classes is where I took my IOP meetings. I could tell you guys, I sat right there. I know what you're going through, but it is possible. Within 3 years of release, I've bought my own car. We've bought our own house. I've gotten my criminal history wiped away. I've gotten all my rights back. This is possible. It's just hard work. So there's a lot of people that are going to say, well, hey, I want what he got. Well, they do, but they don't want to put in the work like I've put in. I put in during summertime. I'll work 20-hour days. 6 days a week.
Yep. I
That's,
pretty much have my own house all summer.
that is part of our life. We work really hard to get what we got, and we work really hard because we know what it's like on the other side of that, and we don't want to go back to that.
And we don't want to be mediocre.
Mhm.
And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with the person that's content to live that life. If you're doing the right thing and you don't want to level up, that's your choice. But for him and for me, that's not how we operate, right? Like, we want to level up. And that doesn't mean necessarily that we're millionaires or I become some famous influencer. I don't even know that I would want that for myself. What it means is that we always want to keep creating. We always want to have passions that we're pursuing. I think that that is what keeps life really interesting and beautiful.
And you want to keep helping people.
That's what it's all about.
At the
And
end of
that's
the
why
day,
we're
yeah.
sitting here, right? Like, we're not doing this for money. We're not doing this to put our stories out there. That we're doing this today so people who subscribe, people who get involved with what we're doing, they understand our backgrounds. But this is not about us. This is a way that we can plant our energy to give a voice to other people
To find their own voice.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's the important thing, is because there's people out there that think all hope is lost, but it's really not. It's just going to take hard work, determination, and there's going to be roadblocks. Obviously, everybody's path is not going to be the same. My path is going to be different than her path. Our paths are going to be different than 6 other people's paths. But if you keep following that path and you stay the course, you could end up in the same place, if not better. And my hope for other people is, hey, do more than what I've done. Be more than what I am. I want everybody to be the best person they can, do the best that they can for their lives, and fix their situations.
It's a beautiful thing to watch from the sidelines, another human being who has gone through so much pain and struggle in their past bloom.
Yeah.
And to just shine out here and to turn their lives around. And, you know, we see it with every single person that's in his circle, because I'm from Colorado. So my people are all up there. But we're going to have a number of people that I knew when I was incarcerated come on the podcast also. We want to share everybody's story.
Sure.
We want everybody to see that it is possible to do it, but you can't just expect to snap your fingers and wake up tomorrow morning and everything that you want is going to be sitting in front of you. You have to bust your ass. And I'm very honest with people. Like, sometimes it takes many years of working through. And that was one area that you and I went the right direction. We put in that work while we were inside.
Yeah.
So we were ready to hit the ground running when we walked out of prison. If you haven't dealt with your shit, that's going to be a huge obstacle to get to where Mark is at today, to where I'm at today, to where our friends are at today.
Yeah, because I even got a friend, his name's Rob. He was on the same exact path, right? Shout out, Rob.
Yeah.
So he got out, and there's a good company out there, Pro West Roofing. They're doing the same thing. They're going into the prisons. They're educating people. They're bringing them out. They're giving them the opportunity to succeed. I see the videos all the time. Rob's living experience of it. Another friend of mine's out there doing the same thing. Several of them actually are out there doing the same thing, and they're living fantastic lives, and they're helping people along the way. They're not only helping homeowners get their roofs repaired, they're also bringing people in from the bad situations we came from and showing them there's another path. So there are plenty of places out there that are planting their own energy to.
And those are the stories that we want to highlight. We want those people, not even for the recognition, but just to inspire other people. Like, you can do what you want to do with your life. Yeah, maybe you can't go if you wanted to be a cop. Maybe if you're a felon, maybe that's out for you, right? But there are so many things that you can do if you really get focused on doing the internal work and chasing the kind of life that you want to create for yourself. And that's what it's all about. So as we move forward here, we're going to be having different guests. I don't know the details of how often I'm going to be posting new content yet, but I will be putting it out on those social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on Spotify.
Please like, share, and follow.
Please. Thank you so much if you sat through with us today and watched this, and we hope to see you again.
click it.